In that place between alertness and dreams, she awoke to find herself in a room that was completely empty and featureless, except for one large file cabinet. As she examined the files, she began to realize that they were a crude catalog system for her life. Here were written the actions of every moment, big and small, in a detail that memory couldn't even begin to match. A sense of wonder and curiosity, coupled with horror, stirred within as she began opening files and exploring their content. Some brought joy and sweet memories, others a sense of shame and regret so intense that she would look over her shoulder to see if anyone was watching. A file named Friends was next to one marked Friends I Have Betrayed. The titles ranged from mundane to outright weird. Books I have read, lies I have told, comfort I have given, jokes I have laughed at. Some were almost hilarious in their exactness, things I've yelled at my brothers. Others she couldn't laugh at, things I have done in anger, things I said behind my parents' back. She never ceased to be surprised by the contents. Often there were many more cards than she expected, sometimes fewer than hoped. She was overwhelmed by the sheer volume of life that she lived. Could it be possible that she even had the time in her few years to fill these thousands of cards? But each card confirmed this truth. Each was written in her own handwriting. Each was signed with her signature. She came to a file marked Lustful Thoughts, and a chill ran through her body. Hesitating, as if not willing to test its accuracy, she drew out a card and shuddered at its detailed content. A sick feeling sank into the pit of her stomach when she considered that such a moment had even been recorded. One thought dominated her mind. No one must ever see these cards. No one must ever see this room. In an insane fury, she yanked the file out. But no matter how hard she tried, she found the file to be indestructible. Defeated and utterly helpless, she returned the file to its place. And then she saw it. The title bore, People I Have Shared the Gospel With. This one looked brighter than those around it, newer, almost unused. Peering inside, she found that she could count the cards it contained on one hand. Then the tears came. She began to weep, sobs so deep they hurt. The thought consumed her again. No one must ever, ever, ever know of this room. But as she pushed away the tears, she saw him. No, she thought, please, not him, not here. She watched hopelessly as he opened the files and read all the cards. She couldn't bear to watch his response. But in the few moments when she could bring herself to look at his face, there was a sorrow deeper than her own etched upon his features. He seemed to intuitively go to the worst boxes. Why did he have to read every one? Finally, he turned and looked at her from across the room. It felt as though his arms were around her. She began to cry again. He didn't say a word. He just cried with her. Suddenly, he began taking cards out of the files, and one by one began to sign his name over hers on each of the cards. No, she screamed as she saw what he was doing. His name shouldn't be on the cards, but there it was, written in red, so rich, so dark, so alive. His name covered hers. It was written with his blood. He smiled a sad smile and finished signing all the cards. It all seemed to happen so quickly. But the next moment, he closed the file, looked over at her and said, "It is finished." She stood up and followed him out of the room. There was no lock on its door. There were still cards to be written.